Okay, hi, I'm Jennifer Anderson, Superstar Director of Radiant Rockstars. It's Tuesday night, Rockstar Rally night, my favorite night of the week, where I get to spend it with all of you. And tonight we're talking about leadership, servant leadership, particularly, which is, in my opinion, the best kind of leadership. And tonight I just want to share with you like what I think the qualities of a great leader are. And in case you didn't know, if you are a lead consultant or above, if you have one person on your team or more, you are a leader in Sensi. You don't have to be a director. You don't have to be a star director. You don't have to be a superstar director. You are a leader in Sensi if you have one person on your team. So tonight, the things I want to share with you are, different qualities that I think great leaders possess. I'm in no way, shape, or form saying that I am the best leader or that I don't have room to grow or that I don't have things I can improve on. Because you guys, leadership and this business in general is a journey. It's a journey, man. Like there's never a point where you've arrived. There's never a point where you're done growing. There's never a point where, you stop learning. And if there is, then you've got to check your heart. You've got to check your brain. You've got to check, your desire to learn and grow. Like you got to check yourself. Okay. If you think you've arrived or you don't need to learn anymore or you're good, like you don't need any help, like you got to check yourself because this is a journey and there's always things to learn and grow. There's always someone who has something to teach you, and it may not be a superstar director. It may be an essential or certified consultant that joins your team and blows your mind. Okay. There are things to learn from all people around you. And I think that's one of the qualities of a great leader is just knowing that you're never done learning and looking at every single relationship you have in your life as an opportunity to learn and grow. It doesn't matter someone's experience or age or what they look like or where they're from. You can learn something from someone else. So tonight I want to talk about servant leadership. And I think so often we think about leadership and we think that it's like a pedestal or a title or it's like a higher up kind of thing. But I'm going to be honest with you guys, the most beautiful leaders that I know are servants. The most successful leaders that I know are servants. And what I mean by that is they serve the needs of those around them. They serve the needs of their downline. And they often put themselves last. So one of the first things that I think a great leader possesses is, as a leader, you should always seek to understand rather than be understood. And I think that it's very common, to want to be understood or get your point across or tell someone how you really feel. But great leaders seek to understand rather than be understood. And great leaders ask great questions. Okay. That's how you can seek to understand rather than be understood. It's not about you getting your point across or you making someone feel small or you letting someone know that you have a leadership title or you're more important. It's seeking to understand rather than be understood. As a great leader, I think that you should always assume that someone's intentions are good. And this is really hard. And honestly, guys, this will help you in like all your relationships in life, just so you know, like not just in Sensi and not just in business and not just in leadership, but it will help you in all of your relationships in general if you just assume that someone's intentions are good. Rather than assuming someone is out to get you or someone is trying to hurt you or someone is cutting you off because they're trying to be mean on the road. Like maybe they're just not paying attention. They're not trying to come at you. Maybe they're just not paying attention. Always assume that someone's intentions are good. And that's incredibly important when you're working with downline, working with team members, thinking about who's going to join your team or come into the business with you. Always assume someone's intentions are good. I think that great servant leaders show genuine appreciation. Genuine appreciation. How many of you have had jobs or bosses where no one ever told you like, hey, thanks for doing a great job? Literally like every hand up, every head shaking yes, right? Do you know that 85% of people leave careers because of bad bosses or bad managers? 85% of people. And while you are no one's boss as a leader, and while you are no one's manager as a Sensi consultant, you have the ability to inspire someone to stay. You have the ability to create what I call a sticky culture, right? A culture that people want to stick to. They don't want to leave. I love this phrase, and I use it all the time when I'm talking to directors and above. I say, we want to create cultures that are easy to join and hard to leave. That's a sticky community. That's a sticky culture. A huge way that you do that is going to be everything that we talk about tonight, but a way that you do that is by showing genuine appreciation for others. And in that, giving specific, authentic praise, I think is really super duper important. Giving specific, authentic praise to your downline, not just like, hey, you're awesome. Okay, cool. Anyone can say that. Hey, you're amazing. Cool. Specific, genuine praise. I really loved the way that you handled that on your Facebook page. I really loved the way that you praised and coached your downline. I really loved how you stepped out of your comfort zone and did a live video. I'm so proud of you. That's specific, authentic, genuine praise that you give your team members. Servant leaders empower others. They empower others and let them fly in their own way. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is an area that I did not master and that I was not great at for a very long time. I used to think that being a great leader meant I had to make lots of people like me, or lots of people see the vision that I saw, or lots of people had to have the same goals that I did, or work in the same way that I did. Or I used to think that there was only this one path to success and it was the way I was doing it. And if you're not doing it this way, then you're wrong. I really did. I really used to think that way. And maybe you're sitting here looking at me and thinking like, well, that's ridiculous and that's rude. Or maybe you're sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, I kind of do that to my team too. And if you do, that's okay, because this is something you can overcome, because I overcame it. What I had to learn was that everyone joins Sensi for a different reason. We all know that, okay? But everyone who joins Sensi is completely and utterly unique. Their life is unique, their family circumstances, their skills, education, where they come from. They come into Sensi with different experiences. They come into Sensi with different ideas of what direct sales or multi-level marketing or party-like business should look like. Maybe their past experiences have shaped the way that they view the world, right? And so I used to think that, well, this is what I'm doing and I'm pretty successful, so you need to do what I'm doing. The reality is, great leaders empower others to find success in the way that they want to. Great leaders empower others to fly. Great leaders don't tell people what to do. Great leaders coach and help people maybe refine processes or see how they can become more productive, or help them cut out fluff, or help them cast vision, or help them clarify. But great leaders empower other people to go be their best selves and live their best lives and build their best businesses in the way that they want to, in the way that works for them. Because if there's anything I've learned in this business, is that there's no one path to success. There's no one straight, narrow road that gets you to the top and gets you to your goals and gets you what you want. There are all different paths you can take. Just like when you're putting into your maps a place that you want to get, and they give you 3 different routes and they give you all the different times, they all end up at the same place, but they're all very different ways to get there. Same thing in your Sensi business. Same thing in your Sensi business. So you, as a leader, need to recognize this for your team, respect them, respect their decisions, their mind, their mindset, the way they work and where they come from, and empower them to go be successful in the way that they want to. Great leaders are transparent and authentic. Great servant leaders are transparent and authentic. They don't bullshit their way through life. They don't post fake stuff on social media. They don't say one thing and do another. Great leaders share both their successes and their struggles. Because Orville Thompson always says it so wisely. And he says, people will learn more from your struggles than they ever will from your successes. I'll never forget when I was an up and coming leader, and I was either a director already or promoting to director, in like on the way to that. And someone gave me the worst piece of advice you could ever give anyone in this business. And she said, never let them see you sweat. That's the worst piece of advice I could have ever received. Because you know what, guys? If you never saw me sweat, then what happens when you go into your business and you have a time when you sweat, or you have a time when you encounter struggle, or you encounter something that's hard? If you looked at my business and all you saw was smooth sailing, good times, happy success, and you didn't see struggles or hard times, or me admitting like, hey, I'm having a hard time flipping hosts right now, nobody's wanting to take me up on that offer, no matter what I say or how I do it. If you didn't see me say that, then when you encounter that too, what are you going to think? Oh man, I can't be successful because nobody, I'm doing the wrong things, or no one knows how this feels, or clearly this is not for me. Hey, clearly this is for you. Great leaders are authentic and transparent. They share struggles and successes both. In that, great leaders are confidently vulnerable. Vulnerability takes guts, you guys. Vulnerability takes super duper guts, because when you're vulnerable and you tell the truth and you share your real, transparent, authentic self, you open yourself up to criticism. You open yourself up to someone not liking the most transparent, authentic parts of you. You open yourself up to haters. You open yourself up to all of this. Vulnerability is scary, but let me tell you something. Vulnerability is where magic happens. You don't build a great, big, huge business without vulnerability. You don't do it. Great leaders are confidently vulnerable. And I think this is something that takes time. This is something that takes time to build. This is something that you kind of learn how to become confidently vulnerable by trying it again and again and again, by opening yourself up again and again and again. And one of the toughest parts of leadership that's really, really real is learning how to have tough skin and a tender heart. Tough skin and a tender heart. Because when you have tough skin and a tough heart, you're so hard that you don't connect with anyone. You're not vulnerable. You're not transparent. You're not authentic. No one sees your struggles. So no one's really relating to you or connecting with you. Tough skin and a tender heart. I think it's one of the hardest parts of leadership, and I think it doesn't come naturally, and it doesn't just like happen overnight. I think it's built. And even still 10 years into business, and I don't even know how many years, maybe 4 years as an SSD, tough skin and a tender heart, it's a very intentional practice. It's something you have to practice at and make yourself get better at, and try and try and try again, and stretch yourself and grow yourself and learn, how am I not going to let these words get through my tough skin? Especially when you're vulnerable and you open yourself up and someone doesn't like the most vulnerable part of you and they have something terrible to say, that can be kind of terrifying. And if your skin isn't thick and it gets to your heart, that can really derail you. But if your skin is tough and your heart is able to stay tender to where you're still able to connect with people, mentor, coach, and train them, that's where you can really grow. That's where you can really grow. And I always, personally, this is just me personally, I always want to err on the side of grace with people, okay? I never want to have skin or heart that's so tough that I'm unwilling to give someone a second chance, or I don't recognize that hurt people, right? and I don't recognize that people have specific circumstances that make them react in certain ways, I always want to be someone who's gracious and kind and gives chances. And I never want to be someone who's like, oh, you don't serve me, peace. I don't want to have that kind of mentality. But sometimes there comes points in your life and in your business where it's not about who serves you or who doesn't, but when something becomes a danger to you questioning your abilities, or if someone is making you compare or making your heart race or making you upset or making you think that you're not amazing or you don't have what it takes, that might be a relationship that you need to let go of. That might be something that you release because you can't allow yourself as a leader to be tempted to get into that mindset. And that's the hard truth of leadership. Transparent, authentic leaders also invite feedback. This is a hard one. This is a hard one, okay? First of all, who likes to be told what to do in here? Anyone? No, definitely not your girl, okay? But great leaders invite feedback. And I'm not asking anyone to tell me what to do, but great leaders invite feedback and they say, how could I do this better? How could I meet your needs? How could I communicate better? What expectations do you have of me so that I can fulfill them? Great leaders invite feedback. Both team members, customers, upline, guys, even relationships in your life. Great leaders invite feedback. And great leaders don't get defensive. Again, I didn't say it was easy. Great leaders communicate often, authentically. Great leaders communicate often. You don't ghost, you don't peace out, you don't leave people high and dry. Great leaders communicate often and authentically. Remember the thing I said first, seek to understand rather than be understood. You know what the number one thing you need to do that is the ability to listen. Great leaders are listeners. They're not talkers. Great leaders are listeners. This is so important when you're coaching your downline, building your team, helping empower them, right? To go be successful in their own right and in their own way. It's so important that you listen to the needs of your team members. Listen to what they really want. Listen to what their struggles are. Listen to what their successes are so that you can genuinely and specifically praise them. Great leaders are listeners. Also, great salespeople are listeners, just so you know. You want to be a better seller? Be a better listener. Great recruiters are great listeners. Great recruiters are great listeners. They listen for who needs this, who could benefit from this. They listen for clues on how a Scentsy business might impact someone else's life for good or meet a need for them. Great recruiters are great listeners. You hear all the time leaders lead from the front. You hear that all the time, right? Lead from the front, lead the way. Lead by example, show people, the way, the way, go the way, show the way, right? That's John C. Maxwell. Leaders lead from the front. Totally, firmly believe in that. But let me also say, leaders lead from the back. Leaders lead from the back. And what I mean by that is leaders humble themselves to serve and meet the needs of their team. Leaders lead from the back, as in they let others shine. Let others shine. Leaders lead from the back by pushing and encouraging others towards their goals. That's leading from the back. Yes, you should lead from the front, but you also should lead from the back. That's an important part of, I think, humble servant leadership that can't be ignored. And that's the last thing I have to say tonight, is that leaders are servants. Leaders are servants. Leadership is not a pedestal. It's not a position. It's not a title, although we classify it with titles and Sensi, of course. Do you want that director title? Of course you do. Do you want that star director title? Of course you do. Do you want that superstar director title and those paychecks? Of course you do. Of course you do. But the greatest leaders who also make the greatest paychecks, by the way, are servants. They serve the needs of those around them. They serve downline, they serve sideline, they serve upline, they serve their customers. Leadership is servanthood, and there's no better way to do it.